Hello and good afternoon, Washington. Hope everyone is having a great week so far. And we're going to wait another minute or so for more people to join. And hopefully you were able to use your Uber Eats and enjoy lunch while watching this. And if you didn't get to use the code, it should be still good to use, I believe, until Friday afternoon. And let me know in the Q&A box what you ordered for lunch or if you have any plans for this long weekend, for Valentine's or President's Day. I know there's going to be a lot of sales for President's Day, so I'm getting excited picking out which stores I want to go look at. And I do have Valentine's Day plans too, just like a nice dinner. And oh, let's see. Someone ordered a salad, Cobb salad for lunch, and someone ordered some sushi and pizza and burgers. All right, and someone ordered a BLT. Those are one of my favorites. And let's see. Ooh, yeah, someone got seafood. Love seafood. Some fish, shrimp Louis salad. All right, so before we get started, I'll do a little housekeeping. And at the end of this presentation, I'll be sending a follow-up email to provide the HRCI and Shroom credits. And if you do have any questions today, feel free to put in the Q&A box. I'll do my best to answer them and get back to you as soon as possible. These questions will be saved. I may not be able to answer them right away as they pop up, but you'll probably see them in the follow-up email. And then if you want any further information, feel free to respond to the email. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel and newsletter, and I'll have those links at the end. And we are also going to send a recording of this presentation you can share with your colleagues. That'll be sent through Zoom in a couple of hours. Today, we're going to talk about Washington nonprofits and unemployment. Before I get started, just wanted to do a quick intro of myself. My name is Jeanette Saponko. I'm the Senior Member Development Representative here at 501c Services. I've been in business development for over 10 years now, and I've been with 501 since July 2023. And there's an image of people bowling that includes me and our sales and marketing team members. Heidi is in the middle. She's my manager. You may work with her in the future. And then we have Evan on the right, who does our web development and marketing. And I'm really excited to be part of a team that's been helping nonprofits save time and money that can go towards furthering their mission. We're located in San Jose, California, so we're in the heart of the Silicon Valley, and we're dedicated to helping nonprofits reduce unemployment expenses across the nation. And thank you again for joining to learn more about cost-effective strategies and managing unemployment in your state. So we're going to provide a broad overview on how unemployment insurance works, alternatives for 501c3 nonprofits when it comes to unemployment, how reimbursing works. We're also going to use some real-life examples of nonprofits we've helped with our cost analysis, and then finally provide more information on 501c services and how many of our Washington nonprofits, we have nearly 200 nonprofits in the state that have benefited from our services. And first of all, just wanted to start off with a little history to put unemployment in perspective. So unemployment started in the US in the 1930s following the Great Depression and New Deal, where the federal government wanted to create a safety net for workers who lost their jobs through no fault of their own. In between 1930 to 1972, 501c3 organizations, they didn't pay unemployment benefits for separate employees. Although this saved them money from paying such taxes, employees that were laid off or involuntarily not working anymore couldn't reap the benefits of having that safety net that for-profit companies had provided. And now fast forward to 1972, the federal government changed the law under the Social Security Act to where nonprofits, they must pay for unemployment benefits, but they were provided different options in how they pay so that tax wouldn't be seen as an unnecessary expense for them. And unemployment is overseen on the federal level. However, each state gets to manage their own programs however they choose. So throughout the US, you'll see different taxable wage bases, tax rates, and benefit amounts. And today we're just going to cover information in the state of Washington. When it comes to management, unemployment rates can be adjusted annually and are adjusted by experience. So let's say if you have a year or two of bad claims, your tax rate will increase. And most states, including Washington, run as a risk pool. So what you put in does not necessarily equate to what you'll get out of that risk pool. So you're putting money to gain access to a pool of funds to pay for your taxes. And we are seeing a lot of nonprofits putting more money into the pool than what they're actually getting out in return. And then these total tax liabilities by employers, they're often greater than the claims paid, with reserves used in times of recession. And to calculate your tax liability, you multiply the taxable wage base by your employer tax rate. So now we're going to do a quiz. Take a guess on what a single claim can cost in the state of Washington, and feel free to put your guesses in the Q&A box. All right, I see 17,000, 8,900, 27,000, 14,000. And just as a hint, the total cost is looking at the weekly benefit maximum times the maximum number of weeks someone can claim. For the state of Washington, the maximum number of weeks is 26 weeks. We have 12,300, 30,000. We have 20,600. All right. There's one more guess, 18,000. So the maximum amount a single person can claim in unemployment in the state of Washington can cost $29,952. And just as a caveat, this is what an employer is charged for employee benefits by the state. So the extended benefits you saw during the recession and extra COVID payments, they were covered by the federal government. And the maximum weekly benefit in Washington is $1,152. When you multiply that by the maximum number of weeks, which is 26, is how we get that $29,952 for the maximum of what a single person can claim on unemployment. The federal government sets the wage base at a minimum of $7,000, and there's no maximum. Currently, Washington's taxable wage base is at $78,200. So it increased from last year, I believe it was $72,800. And so that means for the first $78,200 an employee earns, your organization is taxed on that. And then the minimum tax rate is at 1%, and the maximum tax rate is at 8.15%, and those are both set by the state. The last thing I want to note from the last slide is the improper payment rate, which is at 12.65%, and this equates to around over $470 million in overpayments to former employees who are collecting unemployment from the past 3 years. We get this information from the Department of Labor. You can see Washington is one of the states that's between 10 to 13%. This is important to note as we really encourage you to look over your claims and make sure that you're not overpaying for anybody's claims. Here at 501c Services, we help organizations monitor this. And if you are managing your unemployment claims on your own, you want to make sure that you're properly charged for a former employee's weekly benefit amount. And there are 3 different alternatives for unemployment. One is that you pay the state tax that we talked about earlier with the tax rate that's set by the state in taxable wages. Another option is that you can self-insure or reimburse for your unemployment. We're just paying dollar per dollar for your unemployment claim. So instead of putting money into that pool of funds, you're only paying for the benefits issued. And then the last option is kind of a hybrid of both, where you buy insurance that offers the savings of reimbursing while also providing that safety net. Just so you know, reimbursing is not for everyone. The qualifications that we look at for looking into reimbursing is that an organization must be a 501c3 nonprofit. We recommend a gross annual payroll of $1 million or more, because typically if your payroll is under $1 million, especially significantly less than that amount, what you're paying into the state tax pool is probably pretty minimal, so you might not see much significant savings by opting out. However, there are some cases where you could see potential savings, so we're happy to look at your numbers, even if you're just slightly less than $1 million. And then we also look at a positive audit of the past 3 years. So that means in order for reimbursing to benefit you, we try to evaluate if what you pay each year in taxes exceeds what you're paying in actual claims. We also want to make sure that there isn't any major disruption in funding from the next 24 months. So we do recommend to stay with the state tax system if you know if you might have anything from layoffs, reduction in workforce, losing funds, or closing programs where your tax rates may go up with experience, and then you'll probably want to wait once those claims decrease. What it means to reimburse is that your tax rate turns to 0%, and the state will bill you only for the unemployment claims you receive over the quarter. It's a great way for nonprofits to save money and be a better steward of donor dollars. The process is seamless for separate employees. No matter how your employees separated, they're going to go through the same process for your unemployment department, where the state will determine their benefit amount based on the base period pay. The only change is how that quarterly bill is calculated. So instead of paying into the state unemployment insurance tax, you're now only responsible for charges your organization incurs. We work with 1,500 nonprofits across the nation, and nearly 200 of them are in the state of Washington. So you're probably wondering what motivates them to reimburse. In most cases, reimbursing saves money. On average, savings can be anywhere from 20 to 40% compared to paying into the state tax system. And this is the main driver for most organizations to switch. And reimbursing also eliminates any concern of changes in that state tax, such as those tax hikes that you can't control. You become a better steward of donor dollars as you're just paying for your actual claims and putting money into that state pool. Because unemployment is managed by the federal government big picture, reimbursing is allowed in all 50 states, best with employers with over $1 million in gap and at least 15 or more full-time employees. So if you're on the borderline, we can certainly talk, as sometimes there are circumstances where we can consider reimbursing for your organization. And if you're smaller and reimbursing already, we can still consider you for our services and how we can help you reduce your risk. So at least $1 million in gross annual payroll for an organization. Yeah. All right. So we got the different strategies for reimbursing. So there's a couple different strategies. The first is to manage your own program. This can be risky with the highs and lows of unemployment, and you really need to make sure that you have budget for these claims and make sure that your team is managing, auditing, protesting, and paying claims to reduce risk and prevent overpaying. Another option is that you can outsource, like using 501c services, to help with the administrative work and managing the challenges that can come with unemployment claims. And then we also have a trust where you can put money aside. And the third option is to purchase insurance. Here at 501c Services, we do offer insurance programs. They're a little more expensive than the trust and offer different levels of protection. Now we're going to get into some examples. So I do want to talk about how SUI is calculated. And like I mentioned earlier, I'll show some real cost assessments we've done in the past. The taxable wage base is customized by each state. So in Washington, that taxable wage base is at $78,200. All employers in the state pay the same taxable wage base. It represents the first $78,200 of an employee's earnings. There's no maximum and can increase or decrease by any amount each year. The tax rate is set annually by the state and is based on experience. So to calculate that contribution amount, you multiply the taxable wage base by the tax rate. So that 78,200 times the range of 1 to 8.15%. This amount means that if each employee makes over $78,200, a company is paying in between $782 to $6,373.3 per employee in unemployment. And what we do to get started on a cost analysis is that we look at your tax rate notice. This document includes your tax rate that is highlighted on the top in this example. So for this example, it is at 2.43%, and we would use the taxable wages and benefit charges from the last 3 years. That's also highlighted in this document. In this example, the organization paid about $24,000 in taxes and over $19,000 in claims. So their overpayment was close to $5,000. Based on this information, we recommended this nonprofit to reimburse, and they eventually became part of our trust. Also, there's no need to understand every number on this document. We can look at your numbers and see if you have any potential savings. Our next two examples will show other nonprofits with significant overpayments, and they eventually became our members too. In this first example, we have a human services nonprofit, and the taxable payroll is just shy of $1 million, tax rate 4.7%, estimated claims only $200 per year. And in this case, we look at a 3-year average of claims. So they were overpaying $45,000. And think of what you can do with an extra $45,000 for your organization. Our second example, the taxable payroll is around $700,000, tax rate 3.38%, estimated annual claims is around $5,900, and estimated unemployment taxes were around $24,000. So they overpaid around $18,000. And now a little bit more about 501c services. We were founded in 1982 by a former UCP executive. He was looking at ways to save money for his organization, so he teamed up with 25 nonprofit executives in San Jose, California, to create the first kind of grantor trust called the Joint Unemployment Compensation Trust. It eventually became what is now known as 501c Services and 501c Agencies Trust. And we currently help over 3,000 nonprofits across the nation in various ways. In 2016, the founder sold the company back to his employees, so we're now 100% employee owned. From our receptionist to the CEO, every member is committed to our company and serving our members, and our services are valued tremendously, with our company having over a 98% retention rate. And these are a couple of testimonials our members have shared, and you can also go back to these later, as I'll send the slides in the follow-up email. And here's a clip from our 40th anniversary celebration a few years ago. It includes testimonials from Monica Lund and Mike Hoffman from Start Early, Mary Sue and Michael Eady from CISC, Sandy Leota and Chris Marshall of Baltimore Center Stage, and Phyllis Austin and Jason Penniger from Boys and Girls Club of America.
What makes me passionate about working for a non-for-profit organization is because I knew I always wanted to work for a mission-driven organization.
Our mission is to work with immigrant communities so that they can achieve the American dream.
501 helps focus our service to the community by giving us more time.
501 helps us focus on serving our communities by providing services directly to our HR professionals.
The biggest benefit for working with 501 is really the transparency and ability to forecast our costs when it comes to our unemployment benefits.
They also keep our cash flow steady through claims that are sound and take a lot of the admin burden off of us so we can just stay on autopilot.
We're very grateful for all the support you provided over the last 4 decades, and we wish you continued success in the future.
Congratulations, 501, on your 40th anniversary. It's been a pleasure serving with you for the last 24 years.
And like I've said before, we work with nearly 200 Washington nonprofits, and this is a quick snapshot of a few nonprofits here in the state that are members. And as you heard them say in the clip, we help nonprofits alleviate the administrative burdens that can come with unemployment. The first way we help nonprofits is through claims management. Here in Washington, we'd handled over 3,700 claims last year. Our team will help you manage, audit, and protest claims. So if you ever want to protest a claim, we offer unlimited access to hearing reps, and our team has an 81% average protest win rate in the state of Washington. And you'll get a dedicated claims manager once you become a member of the trust. All your claims will go through this online portal, and you'll get notified when a claim has been filed through email. So you go into the portal to respond to these questions. And if you ever go on PTO and forget to delegate these kinds of tasks, it shouldn't be a problem for when a claim doesn't get responded to in several days. It gets escalated and handled. A big part of our claims management is that our team doesn't want your organization to overpay or get hit by those Washington error rates. So we can audit those charges for you or prevent you from paying a claim when someone gets terminated. We want to make sure that you're managing your claims and also have enough support to do so. And we have our HR services, includes 3 components. We offer access to unlimited HR consultations. We're a small dedicated team that can answer any of your HR related questions. So if you ever have an ongoing issue, you can develop rapport with the person who will support you and manage any of your HR questions. We also have educational trainings and webinars throughout the year that are HRCI and SHROOM certified. And there's also an online knowledge library with our HR services. And with the $1,152 maximum weekly benefits here in the state of Washington, our goal is to help you keep that cost as low as possible. So if you ever lay someone off, we have our reemployment tool. It offers packages that can range from online coaching, interview techniques, and resume writing. Our reemployment services tool on average have helped former employees find a job 4 weeks faster compared to those that didn't use our tool. It's never fun to let someone go, but at least you can give them the safety net and resources to help them secure a new job faster, which in return can help your organization save more money. And then we have the protection. It's the insurance part of our program. Most of our members take our stop loss protection that helps members during catastrophic claims. Other than catastrophic claims, for managing the general highs and lows of unemployment, we have the trust account. And this is a reserve account owned by our organization to help you save and pay for any potential claims. So I hope this sparked your interest, and maybe some of you may want to manage your unemployment through us as a reimbursing employer. If you want to look into potential savings, what I would need from you is your 941s or estimated payroll from 2024 to 2025 as a reimburser. And then if you're paying into the state tax system, we would need a copy of your recent 2026 tax rate notice. And we do have a couple of questions that have popped up, and I'm happy to answer them. Let's see what we have in the Q&A. Does it cost anything for these services? So we have our trust administrative fees, and the pricing of those fees is based on the size of your payroll, your gross annual payroll. And then our service fees will also be included in a cost assessment that we can do for you. And this nonprofit said, we are already self-insured and have over $1 million in payroll. Would it be worth it to join the trust or just stay self-insured for our size? I don't understand the trust. Is it for smaller organizations? So we have members in size from payroll that are less than 1 million all the way up to over 100 million in gross annual payroll. So our services are intended to mitigate the risk of reimbursing with services like claims management and help you reserve funds to help budget for the costs of the highs and lows of unemployment. And then you'll also benefit from stop loss protection in any case of catastrophic claims. We're happy to provide you with a quote and let you know about our pricing. All we need from you is those 4 quarters of 941s. And for this quarter, or the 4 recent quarters we look at, is Q3 2024 to Q2 2025. And this other person said, we are a reimbursing employer. Why is unemployment allowed for employees that have stolen from the company? So without more details on this type of scenario, it is hard to give like a definite answer to this question. Typically, unemployment benefits are given to former employees who lost their job through no fault of their own. So typically, it's an involuntary situation. So an employee who has been terminated for cause should not receive unemployment benefits. The terminated employee can apply for benefits, and it's up to you as the employer to protest that. It's also possible that the former employee got another job and lost that job through no fault of their own. And if that is the case, they will qualify for unemployment. And if they were employed, or so they have a base period, if they're employed with you during that base period, you may have to pay a portion of that claim. And then our services can help you manage your claims and also protest them. We help organizations reduce their liability. And last year we had over an 80% average protest win rate. All right, and we have one more question. So would it be possible to get information about what my organization's experience rate would be if we went from a reimbursable account to an experience rated account? So I believe they said reimburser back to paying the state tax. So when an organization goes back to paying into the state tax system, they get a rate assigned to them. Some states have set a new employer rate. So Washington doesn't. So I believe you just go back to the original rate you were as a state tax or someone paying the state tax. You have like an original number. And then I can see if there are any like new employer rates for the state of Washington, so I can get back to you on that question too. And then the rate is based on the industry code or the NAICS code. This is based on primary activities like education, arts, and entertainment. And then the nonprofit isn't an NAICS code, but let us know what your industry classification is, and we'll help you get the information that you need. And if there are any more questions, let me know. You can also respond to the follow-up email I'll be sending. I'll stay on for another minute or so. And this is my contact information if you have any questions. So in the next few hours, we'll send these slides, the credits, and you'll get a recording in the next few hours. Thank you so much. And if you want more information, this is our YouTube channel and our newsletter. And thank you again. And we hope you have a great President's Day weekend.